Well, it's been a couple of weeks now since you announced your retirement. Any second thoughts? Yeah, like you having a lot of fun last night dancing on the stage.
Yeah, doing my moves. Look, not second thoughts, just kind of contemplating that it's going to be a bit of a life changer and a bit different. I still love the sport, and potentially physically I could do another year, so that's always in the back of your mind. But no, I'm ready to stop.
And of course, what was the main catalyst to make this decision, and obviously to wrap it up at the Tour Down Under? It'd be quite sentimental.
Just pretty much Caleb Ewan's Instagram posts, putting rabbit ears on me. I think once you get to that stage that the young kids are showing you that little amount of respect, that it's time to move on. Nah, look, I guess, yeah, look, it kind of actually troubled me the first half of the season, not really knowing, and kind of, is this going to be my last lot of racing? And I guess I made the decision before the Tour de France, or around the Tour de France time, that I need to just enjoy it, and it's time. It's almost 20 years, 19 years as a professional, and the sport's changed a fair bit, and yeah, we have less race days, but the intensity of the training camps and the races that we have has increased over the years, and the pressure to perform, and I can't really half do this job. So if you want to be at the Tour de France, it takes a couple of 2 or 3 months of preparation. It's a lot of time away from home, and big chunks of time. So,
and of course, you've seen this team grow so much, from being an almost all Aussie World Tour team to having now the European champion. You had a British rider win the first Grand Tour for the team. How does that make you feel going out at a time when the team is really on a high?
Yeah, look, 2 years ago, 2016, when I won Roubaix, we had a massive year. We won Lombardy, we almost won Liège again, and on the Grand Tours we were on form, and I always thought that was going to be a hard year to beat, and then to come out this year. Not only that, the number of different riders on this team that win, that's always been something that I've really liked about this team, that that it's giving guys opportunities. But yeah, it's been a pretty amazing last 5 years on this team, and the team has had a super successful 7 years to win a Grand Tour, won all but one monument. I think it's kind of a nice, in the Australian DNA, to be a heavy-hitting underdog, and we like to be the underdogs, but fight with the best.
You mentioned the 2016 Paris-Roubaix win. What a fantastic story, and how has your life changed after that win, as opposed to Matty Hayman's career and life before that?
Yeah, look, it has and it hasn't. It definitely has as a rider. It's given me a lot more credibility. I think I had that inside the peloton, but from the outside, it's something I'm very proud of and enjoy. It gets brought up all the time, and if there's one race you want to be mentioned with, it's my favourite race, and it's pretty special. But at the same time, I realised too a few weeks later that life goes on, and nothing in my actual life has changed since winning that race.
What's it been like going back the past 2 years and seeing the stall with your name on the plaque?
Yeah, that's nice. I think Roubaix has so many little, the rock is iconic, the velodrome is iconic, the showers and the nameplate. There's all these little extras that you get with Roubaix that you don't have with other races.
When you think about your career and what you've accomplished, and you think about the team, are there other standout moments that really, either prior to Roubaix or afterwards, that are right up there on the list, when the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about your career?
Oh, look, as an Australian, representing Australia was always really something that I took very seriously, and winning the Commonwealth Games 2006 was a massive thing for me. Again, cementing myself in as an Australian athlete when you have a gold medal at a Commonwealth Games, it's pretty special. And along the way, but pretty much a lot of the teamwork and when you pull off a success as a team, they're the really nice wins. So it didn't matter what race it was, but when you really felt like you had 7, 8 riders pulling in one direction and you got one guy across the finish line, they always ended up felt like special wins for me. And you know, in the last few years I've definitely been in charge of trying to direct that on the bike. You know, it's great to see a guy win by himself, but it's really special when you're a part of a team and you're trying to coach guys to work together and everybody does their bit and you pull off a win. That's pretty special.
You know, we mentioned off camera yesterday when you arrived that Geraint Thomas, a former teammate of yours at Team Sky, of course he won the Tour de France this year, and you were able to witness that firsthand. He just released his new book, The Tour According to G. He mentioned you quite fondly a few times. He mentioned about you having almost an encyclopedic memory. He also mentioned that you had a bit of a chat with him on stage 6, I believe it was, during the ride on I think he ended up finishing 9th on the Murder de Bretagne. But do you remember that chat at all?
No, CG hasn't sent me a copy of the book yet. So if he wants to sign it and send it to me, I'll be a happy recipient. I might even read it, G. Look, I'm pretty fond of Geraint, and I have been from the start. There's a number of guys there that I rode with at Sky, you know, Ian Stannard, Luke Rowe, Ben Swift. They were young British riders and came into that team, and they've gone places since then, and they're always guys that I catch up with in the peloton. And to see Geraint win the Tour, I mean, I was a nervous wreck the last few days when it looked like he had it in the bag, and just hoping he wouldn't fall off, because he'd been prone to that in his Paris-Nice days, and it was pretty special. I can't remember what I said, but I would have been normally looking after my own interests there with Adam as well.
Well, so much for the encyclopedic memory then, eh?
No.
You guys had another teammate at Sky who's suffered a bit of the same bad luck that Thomas has as well, Richie Porte. What is, from your point of view, what does Richie need to do to kind of get over this bit of a curse or a bad luck or what you would call it, but to kind of get over that hump, so to speak, and mimic the same success Geraint has?
And it just shows, I guess there's been a number of riders in their career. I mean, you go back and look at somebody like Greg van Avermaet, people would have said that a few years before he came out, and next minute he's, you know, Olympic champion and he can't lose a race. This sport is full of swings and roundabouts. I'm sure that Richie's doing absolutely everything he can to make sure he strings together. But yeah, it's probably consistency is probably one thing he needs to look for, and just try and get the runs on the board. I guess you know, when you're touted as the Tour de France winner and the next Tour de France winner, it's pretty easy to fail if that's what everybody's saying you're going to do. There's some big shoes to fill, and it's probably easier had he come onto the scene and Geraint, I think, you know, in the shadow of Chris Froome, and not sure he was a contender, but he didn't have the pressure of leading a team from the start. So they're big shoes, and you know, but he deserves that title. He definitely has the ability to win the Grand Tour and win the Tour de France. So yeah, just get back to the basics and get back to consistency was my only tip.
You know, obviously Australia has a former world champion and a Tour de France winner, Cadel Evans. Robbie McEwen, three green jerseys, points classification titles at the Tour. Stuart O'Grady, Paris-Roubaix, now Paris-Roubaix. Of course, Simon Gerrans just retiring as well. Milan-San Remo, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Where does your legacy fit in all this? Or do you even think about it?
No, I don't really. You know, it has surprised me, some of the reactions I get when I return to Australia, how many people followed the race live that night, and how many people say that, you know, it's moved them in a way or inspired them. And you know, I never really set out to inspire anybody. I enjoy racing my bike, and that wasn't the goal, but I'm happy that I have. I mean, you mentioned Cadel, and I think I saw personally a big shift in Australia when he was world champion and won the Tour de France. You know, we went from a bit of a marginal sport to quite mainstream, and I'm just, you know, it's, you know, even to be in an Australian team, to be sitting here, I didn't think it would ever happen, that we'd have an Australian registered Pro Tour team, and definitely not for the last 7 years. So, and Jerry Ryan's a big part of that, and he had the vision, and Yeah, so hopefully somebody was sitting at home and they'll be the next. We still need to tick off Flanders, so if there's any young Aussie there, if he's not already in the team, hopefully I've inspired someone and we can get him on Jerry's team and they can win Flanders.
Well, I'm sure you have inspired a whole new generation, and of course you know what it takes to win on the cobbles. Do you see anyone right now that maybe has that potential that we should kind of earmark and keep our eye on?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think, if you look as Australians, I mean, Luke Durbridge is knocking on the door, he's had some good seasons, some bad seasons, so if he gets it all together, he's the classics is what he loves doing. You've got Alexander Edmondson, he's still quite young, and the next couple of years will be pivotal to decide how far he's going to go in those races. And I mean, even on this team, we've signed a young Italian guy, so, like I said, it is an international team now, so Eduardo, I believe, he won the under-23 Tour of Flanders, I think, and so yeah, it'll be exciting. I mean, I don't know why, but I keep bringing that one up. I think it'd be nice to have them all, to have every single monument in one team would be quite an achievement.
Well, if we can't convince you to ride one more year, what's next for you? What's life after the bike?
Yeah, look, I'm gonna hang around with the team in some capacity. Do a couple of different things. I can't walk away from this sport straight away, and I think I've got to ease myself into retirement somewhat. Spent the last 20 years training and travelling, and to rip that all away in one go would probably be a bit too hard. So next year I'm hoping that I have a bit more time with the family, but also I'm hoping that I'm still riding my bike a bit and still a bit in the team and at bike races.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure following your career. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Cheers.